Well, thank you, Chairman Griffith, and thanks to you and Ranking Member DeGette for holding this hearing. This is really important, and I appreciate all of the witnesses who have shared your testimony, your experiences with us today. I couldn't agree more that the bills that we're talking about, authorizing and reauthorizing today, are hugely important to my constituents at home, to everyone who's gathered here, and I think these are areas of bipartisan agreement. And we're an authorizing committee, so I look forward to authorizing and reauthorizing these important programs. But I think we also on this committee have to take our work outside of this committee room, and we have to fight for these programs and for the people who do this work and the people who benefit from this research. And that means making sure that our friends on the Appropriations Committee reject the president's budget and budget request, and propose cuts to this funding, which we have seen over the last year. And so, I really do want to thank you, Chairman Griffith, for holding this hearing, because I do think this is some of the important work that Congress can and must do and should be doing. And frankly, this Congress has done too little of that over the last year. Not our committee in particular, but this Congress overall. And so, I just don't think we can talk about these bills without acknowledging that over the last year, more than a year now, the Trump administration has cut funding for research and for other programs that protect public health across agencies, and fired thousands and thousands of federal employees at these agencies. And frankly, this Congress has really done nothing to prevent the administration from cutting staff, from cutting funding for public health programs. That's changing with our appropriations now. You've heard me say before that we've really ceded a lot of the legislative authority to the president and to Secretary Kennedy, who is decimating our public health system as we speak. And so I am incredibly grateful that we are focusing today on the things that we can and should be doing. And I really think, I've heard a couple people today talk about how the administration is working to make America healthy again, and highlighting the ways that agencies are working to implement the president's public health agenda, including the FDA, CDC, NIH, and HRSA. But we know that the Trump administration is continuing to cut staff and funding at all of these agencies. Just this month, the president's budget request included a funding cut to the National Institutes of Health of more than 10%, on top of all the cuts they made last year. And so while I'm glad that our budget didn't do that, which is our job and our prerogative, the administration keeps proposing that we do that. And we know that last year, the Trump administration still succeeded in terminating almost 2,300 NIH research grants and eliminating almost $2.5 billion in research funding. And it's alarming to me that they're still proposing more cuts at NIH. I get to represent so many people that work at the Texas Medical Center, which is the largest medical complex in the world. Many of you all have heard me say that. We're doing cutting-edge research in Houston, and I'm hearing firsthand from people doing that research that their grants are being cut, their work is being cut. It's work that can't be replicated and just picked right back up. And so some of these critically important research projects are not able to be maintained because of the decisions that this administration is making. And that includes many of the diseases that we're discussing today, including ALS and breast cancer research. These things are being attacked by this administration, so these bills are critical. The EARLY Act, Accelerating Access to Critical Therapies for ALS Reauthorization Act, these are essential, but I am concerned that even if these bills are passed out of this committee, the programs in them will not be funded or have the necessary staff to implement them unless we assert our authority in the appropriations process. We put the guardrails in right now to make sure that the administration cannot undo the work that our witnesses are doing, that the advocates are doing, and that this committee is doing to try to move us forward instead of backward. Now, I have a lot more to say, and clearly I'm gonna run out of time to say it, but I do have some questions for the record that I will submit to our witnesses. I just wanna thank you for your important work and continue to in your advocacy and in the work that you're doing for us. People need to see and hear you everywhere because the work that you make possible is absolutely essential for all of our communities. And so I'm grateful to you, and again to you, Chairman Griffith, for holding this hearing. And with that, I will yield back.